we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are after what an open mic, and now we get a stellar feature. Louise is a fine poet whose journeys on our planet and in her inspirations are simply marvelous to behold. She was born and raised in the Bay Area, where she still resides. Graduate of San Jose State, she has been a puppeteer, teacher, retail clerk, an owner of an antiquarian bookstore, along with being a wife, mother of two sons, and a grandmother. Although the bookstore has closed, she still sells books online. Louise has dabbled in writing most of her life, but didn't become serious about poetry until about 8 years ago when she was with it for the second time. She looked for solace and expression of grief through her poetry. Her work quickly expanded to include many other subjects. She has received awards from the Alameda, San Mateo, and Marin County Fairs, in a Coolbrith Circle, Soul Making Keats, and the Chaparral Poets, among others. She's the recent recipient of the grand prize from the Artist Embassy International Dancing Poetry Festival for her poem, Peace Is. Her work has been published in printed anthologies and online venues, including High, Self Press, Wingless Dreamer, California Poet Society, A Gathering, The Right Launch, Tiny Seed, and others. And I find, unless I miss my guess, you're going to be reading some pieces from Peace is a Pelican. Is that correct? Good. And that is her most recent publication. And she said it's easy to order a copy through her, and that information will be in the write-up, and she'll probably put it in the chat as well. So without further ado or a don't, I'm going to mute me and turn the mic to you. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your presence and your words.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to all the other wonderful poets who are here tonight. As always, it's a rich evening, and I will be reading from my publication to begin with. Peace is a Pelican, published by Finishing Line Press. And the first poem in that chapbook, Ocean Memories. You ran down the beach, exercised muscled legs, extending heron-like from khaki shorts. White windbreaker flared around your arms like the outspread wings of a gull. Your bare feet left footprints in the sand, slowly washed away by waves. I played along the shore, watched you get smaller. Chill water washed around my ankles, splashed above my knees, wetted rolled pant legs. Shivering, I waited in the shallow. From a half-mile off, you turned and waved, a blurred vision in descending fog. You began to move towards me. Gradually, your face developed like a Polaroid photograph. You joined me at water's edge, took me in your arms, heavy breath in my ear, scent of briny air, salt sweat of your body, rough whiskers against my sunburnt cheeks. White foam lapped around our feet. Sun sank into the sea. Tide flowed out. Octopus. Tiptoeing in tide pools, toes tickled by a tiny octopus, unique species, a one of a kind, like you, like me. We swim in pools of discovery, reach tentacles into crevices, risk dangerous adventures. In confusion, drift on vast oceans of chaos, search the deep for meaning. Is it possible answers float just above us in our small, rock-rimmed world? A lot of the poems in this collection are inspired by nature and also very personal experiences that I had with birds and rabbits and other creatures. This is perhaps the dove. Perhaps the dove meant nothing. A lone bird lost between light reflecting windows of high rises and sheltering green trees. Her wings a flash of white among a flock of slate gray pigeons. I stood by the window in the hospital room where he dozed, linked to life by wires and tubes. I listened for his voice. Perhaps the dove was just a bird passing through morning air with no more significance than blackbirds on the wire or the mewing, circling gulls. His still face refused to awaken. Oxygen hissed into his nostrils. Fluids steadily dripped into his failing body. Vile machine blipped with false hope. Perhaps the dove appeared by accident, me standing there in unexpected circumstances, looking at the sun rising over the rolling hills, exhausted after a week of sleepless nights. I shook him mercilessly, laid my body beside him, pinched the loose skin on his bruised hand. Nothing except the steady hiss. Perhaps the dove did not flutter a message. Impossible to hear the sound of wings through thick tempered glass. As I stared into the empty air, the dove flew by the window, rose into the clouds, and disappeared. Omen. The day after I scattered your ashes beneath our thorny rose bushes, an osprey circled the house, your favorite bird. Never before or since, you watching over me as you always did with your wide outspread wings. And from the collection, this poem answers to the theme of the evening of submission. Midwest Vision. I stand a solitary figure in wondrous landscape, watch the weather paint pastel horizons, feel the weight of rocks that keep me from floating away on my reverie. In swaying grain, insects hover and hum songs of a lost lover. Heat rises in waves, wraps around my bare shoulders, pulls me backwards. I relinquish my body to gravity, relax under the earth, spread my arms in dryness, listen to a crunch of grasses, inhale scent of summer. Lying on my back, sky widens in upper reaches of blue. A red-tailed hawk circles. I attach myself to his wings and I soar. Thank you. These two poems I've put together, and they have two kind of newer poems. They have the same title, The Gift. Before the time of Uggs, some 35 years ago, my husband gifted me a pair of sheepskin slippers. He knew my size, perfect fit, honey-colored, ankle height, lined with wool imported from Australia, sheep capital of the world. My husband died over 20 years ago, but I still have the slippers, leather darkened, holes in the toes, my feet grown longer with the years. I have bought new slippers, yet I find comfort in slipping my feet into the warm, matted wool, remembering the birthday, the gift, the man. The gift. Asleep in the warmth of a dream, I awaken to the cold room of sorrow, break the comfort of down covers into the bright reality of day. The news crushes my spirit. How can the light seep through the blinds when the man-child with the gun has robbed families of their cherished loved ones? Troubled son of a troubled man, given a gun as a Christmas gift. Roses blooming beneath my window belie the tragedies. My phone flashes daily horrors, words and deeds to rob me of hope. Touched by the dreadful from a distance, fear hovers in my heart. None of us know when it will be our child, our mother, our friend. I roll over, close my eyes, cover my head, attempt to return to the blissful dream. I wasn't intending to read this poem tonight, but because it was inspired by Joy Harjo, after Milo's reading, I decided to read Arroyos. In this parched Utah landscape, horses travel in arroyos, and silent hoofs move towards water. A sturdy white mare guides her foal. The rest of the herd follows. Through dry washes, they run towards the spring. I've hidden my love for you in a deep arroyo, when I should have sent it running with the horses, at first too cautious, too fearful of another loss. Before you came, my landscape, parched and arid like the land of central Utah. You guided me towards sustaining springs. Together, we watched the horses drink, followed them as they disappeared into arroyos. They left only dust rising above the desert ditches. The sun vanished behind rolling hills. The stars reflected in the spring. Somewhere beyond the arroyos, the horses hid in protective herds, slept standing up as horses do, while you and I lay beneath the midnight sky in the quiet arroyos of each other's arms. I dreamt of horses at the spring and yielded to the icy water. Do I have time for one more, David?
You have 7 minutes.
Thank you. All right. So this poem was an interesting kind of experiment, taking a poetry class from the Poet Laureate Emeritus of Emeryville. She takes us on field trips, and we went to a warehouse that held antiquities. And this is called Wandering Among a Warehouse of Antiquities. How many dragons must I ride to find my way to tranquility? How many bells must be rung? Temple entrance flanked by 2 bronze pagodas. I walk in silence, ears open, waiting for the deep resonance of bells. My fingers follow the figures cast in metal. I inhale the dust of antiquity, surrounded by unfamiliar ancestors. Imagine the silk-robed monks passing through the gates, eyes closed in solemn meditation. I invite the dragons to fly. It's cold in the temple where the gods dwell, where incense burns, where the scent of ancient rituals float towards the bamboo ceiling. There are barriers to holiness, too much time to think, not enough time drifting towards heaven. Dragons with widespread wings clutter my mind. Wandering here, I'm easily distracted. I trip over a toy, ride upon tractor that could have belonged to my father. What's it doing here among the Buddhas and temple bells? How does this humble tractor feel among the gods? And what about the huge buffalo head, long ago detached from the body? He hangs here, stuffed and mounted. Where dwells the soul of the buffalo? His sad eyes ready to weep. Tonight, I'll dream of pagodas, dragons, and temple bells, tractors and buffaloes. I'll wander with monks seeking salvation. And I think I will conclude with this brand new poem that was inspired from Panda Poets. And Jory is a member, and I believe Deborah is also a member. Dear Spring, you arrived to spread invasive oxalis. Though bright with yellow flowers, it's an ever-present curse, like the weeds currently strangling our country. I kneel in the damp soil, pull and pull, but still there is more. Oxalis, you've obstructed the manzanita, tangled your abundant stems around the calla lilies, threatened the poppies. Digging into the soil, I discover hundreds of tiny bulbs. Impossible to remove them all. I'm overwhelmed by the extent of the encroachment, the daily news menacing me, my friends, and my family. I must try to work against the odds, save the daffodils, rescue the beauty in each day, hiding among the weeds. Signed, your faithful gardener. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, unmute, please.
Yay, Louise!
Yay!
Yay, that was
Oh,
wonderful.
bravo.
Thank you, Louise.
So
Louise.
fantastic.
Super.
Woo!
Brava, brava.
Thank you.